Well, hey, you, and welcome back to another episode of the Western Hippie Podcast. I'm your host, Michaela, here with my corgis, Tank and Willie. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about Hail Mary treatments for dogs. And what inspired this episode is in the last few years, since my dog Willie had gotten sick, I have been on a search to figure out how do we best heal dogs even in situations when a vet says healing is not possible. And since I've gone on that journey a few years ago, I am happy to say I have had the pleasure of rehabbing four dogs that were scheduled to be euthanized. And I thought, you know what? I really want to take what I know and share it with you. So, heaven forbid you are ever in the situation where the vet says there are no options. You have this video to show you that there are options. Because the one thing I've learned, not only in our medical system as humans, but in the animal medical system as well, is when a vet says there are no other options, it doesn't mean that no other options exist. It means that they don't know of any other options and can't differentiate the two, when in fact there are other options. Of course, there comes a day where the heartbreaking day comes and there is no other option but to say goodbye. My whole goal in what I do and in what I teach is we don't say we're done until we are absolutely done. There literally is no other options because the animal has already crossed the rainbow bridge and we are literally done. There's no going back until that. I will always do what I can. And so in this video, I want to teach you some of these other options and things that you can do even when other people are telling you you can't. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode of Hail Mary treatments every dog owner needs to know. Let me make sure I got my. Also, if you are on the podcast, there is a visual aspect on YouTube. So if you are like me and like a visual aspect, there is a visual aspect as well. If you are on YouTube, hi, I have wet hair today because I'm like, we've got to get this video done. There's no time for the hair to dry, so you guys get to watch my hair dry on camera. So before we dive in, first thing is if you would like a free first aid kit going over some of the items that I keep at home, not only going over the items that I keep at home, but how and when to use them. I have a free first aid kit checklist and video training linked below in the show notes or in the description on YouTube. And if you would like one-on-one support for your pet, I do have some pet consultations open, and I will link that link below to schedule as well. Both things are linked in the show notes if you are interested in either of those. And then without further ado, disclaimer is the information shared in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended to replace professional veterinary advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with a qualified veterinarian or animal health professional before making changes to your dog's diet, supplements, or healthcare routine. What you'll kind of learn about me is I have to say that until a time I can say, trust your inner guidance system and intuition and go from there. But until that day, here we are. So, let's get into Hail Mary treatments for dogs. So the first Hail Mary treatment I want to tell you about is the EE system. This has been one of my favorites, not just for Hail Marys, but for overall preventative medicine and wellness. I first heard about the EE system in 2023. I would get into the background of it, but there's actually kind of some drama going on. So I don't know what's real and what's not. So I'm not going to get into who created it and who didn't, because like I said, there's some kind of drama in the community. Either way, it's an absolute incredible system. It uses something called scalar energy waves. And the short description of the story, I highly recommend if you are really into science to go deeper into the science. But the short version of the story is when the cells in our body are at 50 millivolts or below, that means the charge of the cells, that is when disease is created in the body. When the cells in our body are between 70 to 80 millivolts or above, that's when the body starts to heal itself. This system charges the cells in our body between 70 to 90 millivolts. And so that's how it works on a variety of different things, is because it charges the cells in the body. And when the cells in the body are charged and healthy, then everything else in the body heals itself. So that is the how and why behind the EE system works. I've used it. I've I want to first say I've seen it used in dogs with kidney failure, liver failure, heart failure, dogs with just really bad arthritis that aren't able to walk. I've read really great testimonials online about people using this for cancer treatments, not only in them pets, but in themselves, epilepsy, seizures. Again, the reason it works for such a wide variety of things is because it targets the cells in our body. And when our body is in the proper environment to heal, all of the things in the body will start to heal itself. Because I believe that is one of the biggest misconceptions about the body is that the body wants to be ill or the body wants to be sick. It doesn't. It's in the wrong environment to get well. And then when we put it in the right environment, the body wants to heal. The body wants to be well. If it's not healing, it's just because it's in the wrong environment. And the EE system helps put the body in the correct environment to heal itself. Just a few other things I've seen it work with for dogs, IVDD, slip disc. If you don't know what's wrong, and especially if your dog needs a non-invasive treatment, I highly recommend looking into the EE system. So now to our second Hail Mary treatment is acupuncture and laser therapy. I bundled these into one category because a lot of acupuncture vets will also do laser therapy. There are more and more vets just getting laser therapy, even non-holistic vets I've seen adding laser therapy to their practices. So this is more of a wide known practice at this point. But like I said, most acupuncture vets do also have laser therapy. So I just wanted to bundle those together into this section. So the how and why acupuncture and laser therapy works. Acupuncture opens the meridians in the body so that energy can properly flow. Again, similar back to the cells. We think that energy is this like woo-woo term, but really E equals MC squared. Like everything is energy. We've all looked in little microscopes. We studied the atoms, we studied the electrons, like everything is energy. And so when what acupuncture would call the chi is stagnant in the body, that's when these things start to create illnesses, or what most Chinese medicine doctors would say is imbalances. And acupuncture works with those meridians, work with those acupressure points to open up those pathways and get the chi in the body flowing and moving properly. And so that's how acupuncture works. The really cool thing about dogs and acupuncture is with humans, we have the placebo, and what a lot of people don't know of the placebo meaning it works if we believe it works, but we also have the nocebo effect, meaning it doesn't work if we don't believe it works. So we have things on both ends. And with acupuncture, with humans, we can apply the placebo or the nocebo effect, meaning we can have all these needles in us, and if we're sitting there like, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working, more than likely it's not going to work, or you're not even going to see a portion of the benefits that you could have seen from it. Where with dogs, they do not have that. And so they respond to acupuncture very quickly. And it's really cool to watch the dogs get some needles in them and just totally take a chill pill. So it's become one of my favorite things, one of my favorite Hail Mary treatments, and even just treatments in general. One of the things that my acupuncture vet had said to me that I think is just so profound is a lot of times acupuncture is the last resort when in reality it needs to be the first resort, because what we ultimately want to do is start with the least invasive treatment and get more invasive as necessary. But how acupuncture is being used right now is it's being seen as a last resort and not the first resort. And so even if you've got a pet that you're not really sure what to do or where to go first, I highly recommend just looking into acupuncture and laser therapy as a non-invasive treatment that is really effective for dogs and cats as well if you have cats. Horses too, there's just not quite as many horse vets out there doing acupuncture yet. So hopefully if we spread more awareness, we can get more vets out there doing acupuncture. But even with my horse, she just had a random lameness, got her acupunctured because I didn't really know what to do. And she blew an abscess. She was lame, I want to say, for like a week, got the acupuncture done, blew the abscess within a couple of hours. I use acupuncture and the EE system to pull my dog out of liver failure. My dog got a pretty bad injury to his neck a couple years ago. Acupuncture and laser therapy. Most vets would have given him 6 to 8 months to just get to walking better again. Acupuncture and laser therapy had him turned around within a couple of weeks. It's just a really amazing therapy. And if you have not used it for your dog, I highly recommend looking into finding an acupuncture vet near you. Okay, the second thing is ozone therapy. And ozone therapy, if we keep going, like all of these Hail Mary treatments have a similar theme. They treat the body on a cellular level. And ozone therapy is what I call electrolytes for the blood, or as my friend would say, because a lot of people that do ozone therapy will also do UV therapy with it. So I was telling my friend about it, and she's like, "Oh, you're putting the outside inside." And ironically enough, that is exactly what ozone therapy and UV light does, because UV light is the best of sunlight and ozone therapy is the best of oxygen, but it's in the blood and it purifies the blood. And when the blood is purified, the body is purified. And the really thing that I've loved about ozone is just I actually just love the whole process, to be honest with you. I'm a really big nerd about it. My dog, and I'll link some places you can start to find this towards the end of this presentation, but my dog had a bunch of things like it. When he got sick, he got wiped out from antibiotics, and from getting wiped out from antibiotics, there was a bunch of other things that started to pop up. And since ozone really works on purifying the blood and purifying the body, you cannot know what's wrong, and ozone can still help. So different than like oxygen. So ozone has an extra atom. So ozone is O3 versus O2. So when the cells are super depleted of oxygen, they start to die off. This goes back to the voltage thing. So they start to die off, and oxygen doesn't necessarily replenish the cells. You know, sometimes when you're dehydrated, this is why I call ozone electrolyte for the blood, because, sometimes when you're dehydrated, water alone won't get you back to hydration. You have to add minerals, you have to add electrolytes, and ozone, since it has that extra atom, does a very similar effect as electrolytes. It puts that extra boost in so that body has the extra boost to heal itself. So we can go from being behind the eight ball to back in front of the eight ball. I keep forgetting that I added slides of the how and why it works after I say the thing. So I just told you how and why it works. So we're just gonna bypass that slide. Okay, so the fourth thing is five, if we count the bunched up laser and acupuncture therapy. But five is hormone replacement therapy, especially if you have an older dog that's been spayed or neutered and they're having arthritis, bone, and joint problems. Most likely it is from hormones being out of whack. Our hormones being out of whack will start to cause, and we see this in people, right? Like as women get older, they start to get osteoarthritis. As men start to get older, they have arthritis. That is actually from the hormones not being as well functioning as they used to be. This is getting more popular. It's still not very popular. I know there's one vet clinic around me in Oregon does it, but if you just search hormone replacement for dogs near me, you should be able to find it. This is a newer, like I said, it's been in humans for a while, but this is more new on the market for anti-aging stuff in dogs. But like I said, if you have a dog with severe arthritis, IVDD, any kind of bone deterioration and arthritis, this is a really good therapy to look into. Okay. And this is more of an at-home treatment, but especially if you have a dog in any kind of organ failure or with any kind of infection, any kind of systematic issue, fasting is a very good protocol. This is something you want to do with a trained professional of some sort because there are precautions you want to do with fasting. But in the wild, if a dog is ill, they will fast themselves. Digestion takes about 80% of our energy. And so when the body needs to heal, it is more beneficial for the body to use that energy towards healing instead of towards digestion. And I wish more pet owners knew this. And this is honestly one of the main reasons I wanted to include this. Yes, because it's a really good Hail Mary treatment, but also because a lot of times owners will panic, and rightfully so, when their dog goes off food, thinking that their dog is trying to die. But actually, the dog is just trying to heal, and it's trying to use the energy it would use towards digestion, towards healing. And so fasting, especially if you do like a goat milk fast, I don't tend to like goat milk fast because a lot of dairy bacteria can actually feed the harmful bacteria. I've done fasting with dogs a couple of times and I stick with the bone broth fast. Definitely get professional help when it comes to this because you want to make sure the dog's liver's functioning properly. If the dog has diabetes or a pituitary or thyroid issue, fasting can actually cause more stress to the body, which can be harmful. So again, definitely work with a professional on this. But fasting, especially if your dog is naturally fasting, as long as it doesn't go over a certain period of time, is very beneficial and very helpful to the body. The nutritionist that I've learned a lot of stuff from, she actually just fasts her dogs once a week, just so their body can get a nice little reboot and a nice little rest and get that I kind of always butcher, I don't kind of, I always butcher the word, but it's autophagy. And autophagy, again, helps the cells get stronger, helps the cells boost and heal themselves. And when we fast, the autophagy in our body gets better. Again, I haven't, I was just thinking to myself, I haven't read on the fasting data in a long time. I learned a lot of data from Dave Asprey. So if you read a book called Fast This Way, if you really want to learn the benefits of fasting, Dave Asprey, Fast This Way. I have not read the data in a long time, as you can tell, so I'm a little like, a tough food, Okay. So I just told you how and why fasting works. Okay. And then I believe this is my last Hail Mary treatment on the list, but it's the substance that must not be named. If I mention this on the internet, the video is going to get taken down, so I'm not going to mention it. So this video does not get taken down. However, I do have a free training on the substance that must not be named. Okay. So I think I'm funny. I don't care if anybody thinks I'm funny. I think I'm funny. And I had this realization one day. As long as I think I'm funny, that's all that matters. Because if I laugh, it's a win-win for me. And so that's my joke between me, myself, and I. And I just actually let you on in on it. So now it's me, myself, and I, and you in on this joke. I included Hedwig because of a picture of a bird that looked like Hedwig. So if you're on the podcast, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But on the video, when I said the substance that must not be named, I included a picture of a white owl because it looks like Hedwig. If you don't know who Hedwig is, I'm sorry. Anyway, so how and why the substance that cannot be named works. It actually works the same way as ozone therapy, but this is something you can buy online and you can do at home, but it oxygenates and purifies the cells in the body, which purifies the body, and it adds extra oxygen to the cells that are sick. So same way as ozone, but it's something that you can get for under 50 bucks and do at home. I actually talked to my vet about this therapy, and she said, because I used this therapy to pull a dog out of, we believe the dog got into antifreeze poisoning, and she went into kidney failure. I don't think she was technically in liver failure yet, but then had a pancreatitis flare, was scheduled to be put down. And this was what we used to pull her out of that. It's actually, as of next week, it's been a year since the dog has been through that. The only thing is she's still on a whole foods diet. She never went back to a kibble diet, but it's a really cool therapy. And when I was talking to my vet about it, she said that in a lot of cases that this would probably be better than ozone therapy because you can do this low and slow. And if a dog is really, really sick, ozone therapy can essentially be a little too much of a shock to the system, especially when it's done intravenously. It goes into the body very, very quickly and very suddenly. And then if they're doing something like rectal or vaginal ozone, it actually doesn't get into the body quick enough. And so this therapy, the substance that must not be named, I just think I'm hilarious. It's fine. Um, it's a good in the middle between intravenous ozone and rectal or vaginal ozone. It gets in the body just quick enough, but not too quickly. So again, if you're interested in this substance, I have a free training linked below since I cannot talk about it in totality on the interwebs. Free training linked below. There's a slide for that instead of there's an app for that. Do you guys remember that time of our lives when that was the slogan for the App Store? There's an app for that. I got a slide for that. Okay. So finding treatments near you. This is where I'll go through each of the treatment and just tell you how to find different centers and stuff near you. So the EE system, you can go to visitaneesystem.com or you can go to unifiedhealing.com/locations. You might also see it pop up as the light system. Like I said, there's a bit of drama going on in the community. It does not take away from the power and beauty of the system. It's also a franchise, so there's a lot of people that bought systems that have nothing to do with the drama. They're just system owners trying to help people heal. So don't worry, you do not have to be involved in the drama. But if you go to unifiedhealing.com/locations or visit aneesystem.com, you can find a treatment center near you. It's really great. You just put in a location and systems will pop up. A little disclaimer, not all of them allow dogs. Most of them, even if they don't allow dogs, if you call and explain the situation, most of them will work with you. You might have to go in after hours, do your own cleanup kind of a thing. all the centers I found do allow dogs, which is really great. Um, Acupuncture, laser, and hormone therapy, it's ahvma.org/find-a-holistic-veterinarian. And you can find a holistic vet near you. You might, again, have to make some calls to find, like, hey, do you do acupuncture? Hey, do you do hormone therapy? But this is the best website to find a holistic vet near you. Ozone therapy, o3pets.com/pages/vet-map. Again, if you're on the podcast, I'm going to link as many links as I can below. My last video that I did on IVDD, recovery without treatment for dogs, I had too many links and my description wouldn't let me link all of those. So I'm going to link as many of these as I can that my description box will allow me. So if there's a link that I mentioned that's not in there, it's probably because I ran out of room and I had to start prioritizing stuff. So go to my YouTube page, and all of these are on a slide on the YouTube page. Okay. And then the substance that must not be named, it can be purchased online. Again, if you download that free training that I have linked below, you get a workbook and a video training where you can purchase the substance that must not be named. And then these are a few centers that I just wanted to mention. I'm in Oregon, and so if you're in Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, I just wanted to give these guys a shout out because they've been a huge part of my journey with healing my own dog and have restored my faith um in veterinarian stuff because believe me, they were the fourth or fifth vet I went to, and at that point, I was feeling very, very hopeless. So where I'd get ozone therapy, I don't know if Dr. Terry Sue does hormone replacement therapy or not. Actually, I know there's a vet in Malala, Oregon. I think it's a river, Malala River, something like that. They do hormone replacement therapy. But Balanced Vet Care in Eugene, Oregon. This is, I didn't put this in the Hail Mary treatment because I don't exactly know how to explain what this guy does. I think it's technically physical therapy, but Eric Verdeau in Eugene, Oregon. It's a very light physical therapy. So if you have a dog with any kind of mechanical issues, highly recommend visiting Eric Verdeau in Eugene, Oregon. It's actually in the same building as Balanced Vet Care. If you are looking for an acupuncture vet in the Oregon area, in Oregon City specifically, Dr. Becky Jester is absolutely amazing. She does laser therapy as well and is just a true gem in this world. And you can find her at drjester.com. And then to finish out this video, I actually have two more sections left, but I wanted to get into some at-home support you can do. And then the last section of this video is going to be talking about how to put a treatment plan together, but then also doing a color scale on your dog to rate on what approach you need to take first. Okay, so at-home support, the big thing is for at-home support is removing inflammatory foods, adding nutritional foods, supporting the liver, supporting the gut, and then adding healing supplements to your dog's routine. So with nutritional support, removing the inflammatory foods and adding nutritional foods. The problem with kibble, there's really three main problems with kibble. So if you have a dog that has issues, or if you're watching this video and you have a dog that doesn't have issues, but you want your dog to live as long as possible, these are really the main things wrong with kibble and why. So what really put me on this journey, other than my dog getting sick, is the average age of dogs, of golden retrievers specifically, in the 70s, I believe, was 20. Now it's down between 10 and 12, and they actually expect it to get lower. And part of this is what we're feeding our dogs. What I compare it to is, imagine if we were just purely living off goldfish. We probably wouldn't be very healthy because even people that do eat goldfish, they tend to eat other things, right? So there's a little bit of a balance. We only tend to feed our dogs kibble. So it's like they're getting goldfish and nothing else. The nutritional value, the way the food is cooked, depletes the food of its nutrients. And it's so depleted that a lot of times it actually creates what's called anti-nutrients, where the dog's body is actually having to rob nutrition from its body, from its own cells, just to digest the food. The other thing is just because an ingredient has a certain nutritional content to it, doesn't mean the dog's body can absorb it. So one of my mentors worded it to me this way, and I thought it was just a perfect example, is a dung beetle can eat dung and they get all the nutritional value they need it. If we ate dung, we would get very, very malnourished. It's the same for a dog. dogs are omnivores, but they're more carnivores than they are vegetarians. So yes, they can do both, but they need more meat than anything. And most of this dog food has a ton of grains in it, and their dog's body just doesn't recognize grains because that's not supposed to be the main section of their food. And so this is where we start to see these issues because this all these grains are going into the dog's body. The dog's body's like, I don't really recognize this. I don't really know what to do with this, and it has to steal whatever contents to get more of, to actually even to just digest the food. So that's kind of the first issue with kibble. The second issue with kibble is dehydration, and it's similar to the nutritional value and the body having to kind of steal something from itself just to digest the food. And this is why we're seeing chronic kidney issues, not in just dogs, but in cats as well, is because since kibble, think about it when you eat like back to the goldfish or a ton of potato chips, how your body just feels parched and dry. It's because your body is having to steal water from its own cells just to digest the food. And so dogs, same thing is happening, and they're not getting enough water, and they're living in this chronic state of dehydration, which is putting a tax on the kidneys. And then, so that's the second issue with kibble. And then the third issue is mass production. They are mass producing kibble at such a rate. I'm not going to link this below. You can do your own research, but they've actually been finding trace amounts of euthanasia drugs in dog food because the animals they are using to put in the kibble were not euthanized properly. They were euthanized by drugs and not by other means. And so now these dogs are getting microdosed with euthanasia drugs for a good section of their life. So those are the three main issues with kibble. What you want to look into is a whole foods diet that works best for you and your dog, whether that's raw, lightly cooked, or homemade. Diet, what I have found in my own journey is it's a one size fits none. My dogs did not do well on raw. I'm doing home cooked right now. So give yourself experimentation. And then the last thing with this is meet yourself where you're at. If you have to just switch to a higher quality kibble and do like a topper of Whole Foods a couple times a week, getting the good stuff in is more important than getting all the bad stuff out. So again, your dog is getting some nutrition in. Again, meet yourself where you're at, know you're doing the best you can, and that's enough. So the second thing is supporting and detoxing the liver. Why the liver? The liver is one of the most overlooked organs, in my opinion, in the body when it comes to approaching and treating health issues, because the liver is the main detoxifier in the body. So if the liver's backed up, the body is backed up, because the liver, if it can't get the toxins out fast enough, meaning again, it's backed up, the toxins go back into the bloodstream, and that's what creates inflammation. Inflammation, a lot of people in the holistic world will say inflammation is the root cause of all stuff. It's like, okay, but let's go a click deeper. What's causing the inflammation? And what's causing the inflammation is too much toxins in the body. And when we look at, okay, what's causing too much toxins in the body? Yes, we're consuming a lot of toxins. And because of that, the liver itself, which is that first process in the detox process, the first there's a word I'm looking for that's not coming to me, but it's kind of the first step in the detox process, I guess you would call it. And so if the liver, if we have kidney issues, a lot of times it's actually a liver issue because the liver is giving the kidneys more than they can handle because the liver can't handle. So I always start with like treating the liver because we want to get the liver balanced and get a baseline established and then see what we're working with. So ways you can support the liver. You don't want to keep a dog on liver support all the time, but if you have a dog with an issue, you definitely want to have them on liver support for a long period of time. But if you just want to do care like a couple of times a year, maybe 3, 4 times a year, depending on your dog and their age, milk thistle, SAM-E, dandelion, you can also get mixed tinctures. My favorite place to get liver support is from pethealthandnutritioncenter.com. The next thing is supporting and healing the gut. Why the gut? Similar to the liver, if the gut has what's called leaky gut syndrome, the toxins will leak through the lining of the gut because there's been these holes poked in, I believe it's in the small intestine. You'll have to fact check me on which part of the digestive process the holes are actually created. And then since there's holes in there, the toxins are going back into the bloodstream and not actually getting excreted through poop. And so we want to heal and take care of the gut so that again all these toxins are going out of the body and not staying in the body. Some ways you can support the gut, again, a big thing with gut health is getting that really crappy food not coming into the body. That's going to help the liver, that's going to help the gut. That's really the first big step is removing the inflammatory foods and getting these nutritional foods back in the body. And then some additional gut support you can add is slippery elm, marshmallow root, pre and probiotics, and then aloe vera. Aloe vera is great. If your dog has diarrhea, be very low and slow with the aloe vera because it is a slight laxative. Um, and if you want to pick something to go from, I do start with the herbs with pre and probiotics to support. I don't just use pre and probiotics to just treat because I find that they don't actually soothe the irritation in the gut. They just help manage a backed up gut. That's been what I've seen through my own personal experience. Again, really, this is a lot of experimenting and seeing what works best for you and your dog. Your dog may do a lot better on pre and probiotics than the slippery elm and marshmallow root than my dogs did. My dogs do really well with slippery elm as the base gut support with a little in pre and probiotics added in. Okay, so the last section is adding supporting and healing supplements. We want to establish the baseline. That's why this is last on the list, is because we want to get the liver and the gut to a baseline and then see what the dogs need. There is one supplement that I mentioned in here, which is called Epigenius, which does a little bit of everything. It has the detox support, it has the green support, it has inflammation support, it also has gut support. It's just a really great all-in-one support for dogs. And it also has joint support, MSM, deer antler, glucosamine to help with overall inflammation. But what my personal go-to is the whole foods diet with nutritional foods in it. For the liver, I do milk thistle or the mixed tincture from Pet Health and Nutrition Center. I do slippery elm, and then I do the Epigenius, which includes the greens, and then it also has some pre and probiotics and joint support in it. So that's my protocol as of right now, what I'm doing with my dogs at home. And then I forgot I put this section in here. Here are some at-home gadgets that you can, if you just want overall support for your dog at home. These are some great at-home therapies that I love. A grounding mat, red light therapy, a PEMF mat, Equiscope. Equiscope is going to be more inexpensive. They're about $50,000. A lot of people, especially people with horses, do have them. And so it's something, not a lot of people with horses, but there are quite a few people in the horse community that have these and do this as a business. So it may not be a full at-home therapy, but you might be able to find someone near you that has one if you live around a lot of horses. And then a I said this word right earlier and now I'm saying it wrong. I actually thought I had mine. I was going to show you mine because I thought I had mine. Maybe I don't. Oh wait, yes I do. One second. One second. You're not going anywhere. But I actually have mine with me. It replicates acupuncture. There is a little bit of a learning curve, but it's literally the size of a pin. It has red light, and I'll try and show you. I gotta change the batteries. But the red light therapy replicates acupuncture and opens up the meridians. I think it was $120. It's just a really great therapy that I love to have at home. So creating a healing protocol, this is where we're going to be scaling your dog's health. I use a color coding system, and I use a color coding system very intentionally because we never want to use fear-based language because we don't want to put our own bodies in a state of fight or flight, because when our bodies go into a state of fight or flight, base energy leaves our brain and goes to our limbs. If we're feeling super angry, the energy goes to our arms. If we're feeling fearful, the energy goes to our legs. And when we have less energy in our brain, we do not make good decisions. And so I use a color coding system because I never want to put my own body into a state of fight or flight and thinking worst case possible scenario. But I also don't want to lie to myself and act like everything's great when it's not, because that's also just as problematic. I have found what's best for me is using a color coding system of this is where the dog's at, this is where we want them to go. So we've got code red, and this is needs radical attention now. I do call this the dog's on death's doorstep and we need to get them off stat. If the dog is here, I go get a treatment immediately. Code orange needs attention now, but the difference between code red and code orange for me is the dog needs attention now, but it's not on death's doorstep. And the biggest difference I would do is code red is within 48 hours, if we don't do something, it ain't good. Where code orange is if we don't do anything in the next month or so, it ain't good, but we've got a little bit of time to, start implementing these things. It's not all hands on deck right away. So not walking, in pain, still eating, drinking, wagging their tail, code orange. If a dog is in code orange, I do start treatments right away. Code yellow. Um, Again, we need to get the ship turned around. It's not like terrible, but it's also, you can tell your dog's not great either. Um, Mild symptoms, still doing regular activities, just not doing these regular activities as well. If you have a dog that's at code yellow, you can start at home or with the treatment or do a mix of both. Code Green O, I call it Code Green Optimize. The dog is in good health, but you don't have a health plan in place and you want to put a health plan in place. So you're never at a point. Obviously, shit happens, accidents happen, and we find ourselves in code red when we didn't think we would. But as far as like code red, as far as like cancers or major things like that, Code O is putting a plan in, or Code Green O is putting a plan in place to do our best to prevent from getting in a health code red, meaning a really bad cancer or something systematic. So if the dog is here, find a holistic vet, start optimizing at home, and then just put a plan in place to keep your dog in perfect health. Code Green P is the dog is in perfect health. You have a longevity and a holistic plan in place. You also, the one thing I would add to Code Green O is if you do not have a team in place for you and your dog, get one because you never want to be in a Code Orange or Code Red situation and looking for a vet on top of being in that situation. You do want to have those things established when you're ideally in code one of the code greens. So if you are on code green O, or if you feel like you're in code green P, um, don't let yourself be here until you have a holistic veterinary team in place for you and your dog. Okay, so here are all the color codes, and then where is your dog at right now? Um, so again, if they're here, if they're in code red or code orange, find a holistic vet. I would probably get to an EE system right away or start the substance that must not be named right away. Optimized diet. If they're at code red or code orange, I'm potentially doing a fasting protocol, starting pain management treatments at home, etc. Code yellow, again, optimizing diet, starting supportive supplements, probably not fasting, might be doing a light, I might be going into acupuncture or the EE system, might be doing a light substance that must not be named therapy, finding a holistic vet, giving my pet a boost, but also doing optimizing everything at home. And then we kind of talked about it, but code green O, finding a holistic vet if you don't already have one, optimizing diet, getting a long-term plan in place, also just training yourself, okay, for the oh shit moments, if something does happen, I know what to do so I don't have to figure it out when that happens. Like if this happens to my dog, I'm doing this. If this happens to my dog, I'm doing that. And that can just bring a lot of calm to your nervous system. So you're not constantly worried about if this happens, then what? Well, I already know what. So we're good. And then code green P. You don't need to do anything. Keep doing what you're doing and give yourself a high five. Um, Okay, so lastly, final thoughts and reminders. Again, if you want that free first aid kit and checklist and video training, it is linked below in the show notes. If you would like one-on-one support, I do have pet consultations open. Both of those are linked below. And then that is all we have for you today. I always sign off with In Health, Michaela, Willie, and Tank. Just really thankful for you being here and so thankful that, when you're going through something like your dog being as ill as Willie was when I started, it's so heartbreaking and it can feel so lonely. And the fact that we get to make some good out of this and share with you what we know just means so much to me. So if you found value out of this show, I would be so thankful if you can rate and review. And until next time, Willie, Tank, and I will see you in the next masterclass on the Western Hippie podcast.